All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast where business gets done. I'm your host, Ken Baden, and today I have two of my friends here on, well, not on site. They're both real. Actually, you guys are both in Texas. No, Texas, Carolina.
Oh,
Carolina.
get it.
That's right, right? Texas and Carolina. I'm not, you
Yeah,
know, one
South
said anything.
Carolina.
You guys just both just kind of, yep.
Yeah, I'm in Charleston,
Okay.
South Carolina. James is in Austin, Texas. Both of
Anyhow,
them.
my good buddy James in Texas, and Blake's been on here before. You guys might remember him in his episode, but Blake is the gentleman from South Carolina. So, Blake, James, what's up, guys? How are you today?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having us on. Really excited to kind of get back in here with you, man. It's been I think it's probably about a year since I was on last time, so we appreciate you having us back on.
Yeah, man, on the heels of your monster year, and then since then you've gone out, you started your own thing. I knew that that's where you were going at the time, but obviously we didn't want to spill the beans. I think you were still a little undecided, but you picked up and you made it happen, man. How has that experience been, just in a
Yeah,
nutshell, man?
starting a roofing company is fun. I mean, I think going into it, it's going to be a lot, right? But there's a lot more to it than you think going into it, right? So there's a lot of systems and processes that you got to work on and really get it dialed into, how your sales style was that you feel like was working for when you were selling, right? And then trying to transport that into your new company and just trying to get everybody on board. But it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Wearing a lot of hats right now, and eventually we'll get the right people in the right spots. But we're just trying to grow as much as we can right now, and growing at the right pace, and hiring the right people at the same time.
And we talked about this, and I'm going to pass off to James here in a second, but the irony, and this is just how it goes. Of course, the year before you go to start your own business, the biggest storm South Carolina has ever seen. You go out and do record breaking numbers. And then, of course, you start your own business and there's no storms, there's no nothing, there's no anything. And you're just, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it goes, right? Like, that's just what we
Absolutely.
deal with in business. So you got kind of like baptized by fire in your first year. So I know it's been a lot, but you're still here and still rocking and rolling, man. But that's just how it goes, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, you can kind of look at that as somewhat a blessing because I mean, say we had that same storm this year. I mean, that would have been super hard to scale and getting everything under of trying to figure out, hey, these are our systems and processes during the middle of a huge storm. It'd be
Sure.
super tough. So, that's where my mindset's at right now. That's what I'm telling myself. That's why this happened or why I'm okay with it, right? So, but
That's the optimist approach. I love that, man.
yeah.
James has been, and not to minimize by any means, or James is an absolute stud. I've had the pleasure of knowing James for a few years now, and I know you got to be a bit of an understudy for somebody that I have a whole lot of respect for, in Kurt. And now you're out on your own, doing your own thing, and I see a huge commercial project you just had, or multifamily project you just had. You too have gone out and started your own thing and been experiencing it in a market that is arguably maybe the most saturated market, which is saying something because there's a lot out there. But you're in Texas, man. I mean, what's that been like?
Yeah, I think Blake and I started around the same time, right? And little bit of a different market. We both, hopefully have plenty of storms, to come, but there's been a lot of saturation, right? Like Austin has become a lot like Dallas, right? There's a lot of roofing contractors moving to this market, and with that, I'm not looking over the fence at what the other guy's doing. I'm just, focused on what we're doing, if that makes sense, right? So it's doing all of the little things well, and those little things compounding and separating yourself so much, further from the competition that, we're just so much different. And in many ways, so much further along, from a systems process and people perspective and educating, lifting our people up and, all of those things. But we actually do a lot of collaboration, right? I would rather collaborate than compete with folks. I heard a quote once is like, people at the top collaborate, people at the bottom compete. And like, I'm a firm believer in that. And it's how I've gotten to where I am today is, brushing shoulders with people like you and Blake and, some of the other, roofing leaders in the space, and, listen to the people that, are humble, right? Listen to the people that have been there before and being a student of the game. I mean, that's the biggest thing. But yeah, I don't look at the market as like, hey man, this is so hard. Like I'm very much a glass half full guy, kind of like you
Yeah.
and Blake, right? It's like, what can we do to use that to our advantage, right?
Yeah, and you guys have both had a lot of success in a very short period of time, man. And I think you guys, both of you all, are guys to keep an eye on for the future. And I'm really excited to see what you guys do, man. I mean, since we've met, just what you guys have done in the short term. But guys like you all, you invest a lot of time, effort, and energy and money. Let's be real, man. And dude, I say it all the time. I've spent in a year and some change. I spent $500,000 on coaching, consulting, anything I could possibly do to learn. I kind of got a little, like we all do. Well, I can only speak for myself, but I got a little bit of a addiction problem, or had. I'm in recovery now, but I tend to go a little overboard on things, and so that might have been part of it. But I met you all through that, and the networking and the things that you gain from that. Even not the direct investment, but the networking or the connections that you make. How much emphasis would you all put on the importance of continuing to educate yourself? We were just talking about this, for example. And we'll segue into, you guys have something super cool that you're working on that I think is going to really help the industry as a whole. But let's think about the industry as a whole, right? Like, it was insurance restoration, insurance restoration, insurance restoration. Well, in my market, it's always been heavy retail, but the insurance influx was definitely something that, like, there's so many. You would think that this was a storm market just based on the amount of saturation and companies that are here that are trying to do storms. But the problem we're having is, like, for example, our CRM. Acculynx is a great CRM. Everybody knows, if you're in the industry, it was just purchased. In fact, that purchase just went, as far as I'm aware, it goes official. It went official October 1 at the end of the third quarter, purchased by Verisk, who owns Xactimate and a couple other softwares relevant to the industry. So there's a lot of people that were upset about that, the data especially. But the CRM itself is not really friendly for, say, retail, right? And retail, in my opinion, is kind of where this industry is going, man. You've got to be willing to pivot and change. Do you all see that happening in your markets as well? And just as a whole, like, do you think that that's kind of where, like, the ability to do that is more important now than ever? And I would argue that if so, it's important that the CRM that you utilize is able to accommodate that, because I don't see that in what we currently have, and that's why I think we have possibly a really cool solution coming up. But first question, do you think retail is kind of like taking back over as far as the roofing industry is concerned, or what how much emphasis would you put on that? James, I'll go to you first, since I see you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to have as many tools in your tool chest is very important, right? And you say retail, and so I can break that down into repair, replacements, right? It could be a shingle coating. It's more opportunities for a customer to say yes to you, but you're solving for different challenges that they might have, and you're meeting them where they are. And so you need the people, systems, and processes to all work well together for you, to support you in that way. And so with a proper system that can accommodate for retail, that can accommodate for insurance, you're able to meet them where they're at. There's a lot of these ACV policies, and not to get too much into like the policy side of things, but like, when a homeowner has a $15,000 deductible and they're on a roofing payment schedule or an ACV policy, like, it's a retail job. And so if you don't have a CRM that supports you and can get that proposal out the door within 5 minutes, right, of ordering a measurement, and getting that in your customer's hands, you're spending too much time, and then your people aren't eating as much as they should be eating, right? They're spending an hour or 2 hours generating a proposal, right? That's not going to actually convert because it's a weak proposal. And it looks like it was built on Microsoft Word, right? Not a proposal generation software. So, yeah, long-winded answer to say, yes, we're going more retail. We need to be offering financing, right? We need to make sure we have good, clean, strong proposals to allow ourselves to be successful in that space.
And you basically said it in a nutshell too, diversifying. Retail could mean a number of things, like
Yeah.
being open to repairs, being open to, I mean, it's just outside of the box thinking is definitely warranted. Blake, what about you? I mean, how much emphasis would you put on that in your market?
I mean, I think it's definitely huge. I mean, here in our market, we're getting homeowners that are getting letters. Hey, your roof's 15 years old, 20 years old. It's a forced roof replacement, right? So it's no secret. There's a lot of homeowners that have been sitting on their houses because of these interest rates. Well, if these interest rates start coming back down, all those people that have been in their house, been waiting for that right time to be able to sell and move on to a different home, all of a sudden that's going to open so much back up. And if there's no storm damage on those properties, then there is going to be a forced replacement from these insurance companies to get coverage on their house. They're going to have to replace this roof. So there is going to be a forced big retail boom, I believe, and especially in all the storm markets where these insurance companies like, hey, 15, 20 years old, you got to replace that roof. So I definitely see a big boom in that retail industry. Um, and you just got to be, even if you're a insurance company, you just got to be ready for that retail boom too, because you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. I mean, there's money for the taking, and we got to be able to serve our communities, no matter if it's for insurance or if it's for retail.
And good on you, man, for pointing that out. I didn't even, I completely, if you're in this market, or honestly, I think they're doing that all over, man. And James, you can echo that if you're seeing a lot of that in the Texas market. I see that a ton up here. We have so many examples from mostly all of the major carriers. We have at least one example of what we call a drop letter, and we're educating our clients to that fact. Like, look, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? And here's some links to some high profile cases where that's happened, and people are upset. There's a church in the Massachusetts area where they went to the news and are like, this is crazy, man. Like, really, you just pulled up Google Maps and decided it's time for you to replace this, right? But Adam Binsman, we all know, the roof strategist, he and I were talking, and he's like, dude, I really think that according to the insurance carriers, the new average age of a roof and the eastern, at least my market, the DMV, and probably most markets, is going to be like 10, 15 years old, and that's nuts. Now, Texas, you're talking 5 years, right? Because these things just don't make it. They're getting smashed by hail. But like in our market, we don't get hail. So in a non-hail market, even, you're looking at 10 to 15 years. And so that's a lot of homeowners that are going to be possibly receiving a drop letter, in which case insurance isn't an option. I could tell you right now from professional experience, once they get that letter, I don't care who you are, they're not paying for that roof, dude. They're not paying for it. Like, you can show them anything and every smoking gun. I have seen so many discontinued roofs, and we just have like, there's no argument, there's nothing to talk about, and we're just like, yo, you would traditionally need to pay for this roof, and because they had sent that, they just won't do it. It's like, it becomes a game of who can get to who first, right? Like, oh, well, we sent the drop letter, so that, nope, sorry, it's too late. Like, we don't have to cover that. When legally speaking, I can't see that being sound, but we all know they don't really play by the rules. They just make up their own. So what it seems to be is, once you get one of those, you're screwed. But to James's point, and to your point, Blake, you got to have the ability, being able to be diverse, being willing to diversify, I think is what's going to keep people around in the next 5 years. I think if you're staunch in the insurance restoration only camp, you're going to have a really hard next 5 years. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas, they hog all this dang hail, right? But even in Texas, I mean, I think, James, y'all got hit like last year or the year before, but in certain parts of Texas, it's not every single year, right? So
Yeah.
you've got to be
Even
able
in
to.
Texas, even in Texas, percentage deductibles, exemptions, you name it. I mean, just denials. I mean, I read a statistic from Texas from last year. Basically, half of all the claims filed, 47% were just denied. You know what I mean? Like, so, or maybe you get it bought, but it's a fucking, excuse my language, it's a freaking $40,000. This is my show. You know what? We cuss on this show. We say F words. If you're a kid listening to this, you need better role models. But in all seriousness, dude, it's $40,000 deductible. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, it's like, you better be able to do retail. You better have financing options. You better have some options. So on that note, your CRM then. Let's talk CRMs because that's the big thing right now. That's the elephant in the room. The acquisition just happened. Everybody's talking about it. $1 billion acquisition, by the way. So kudos to those guys, dude. They did what we all want to do. John and Sinek and I were talking about it on my show when it happened. That day is when it was announced. The CRM you use had better be able to accommodate more than just insurance. And that's what I was getting at. That's my pain point with, say, Acculynx. Love Acculynx. Really enjoyed it. But when I go to retail, in my market, traditionally retail is roofing, siding, windows, doors, gutters. It's not just roofing, dude. It's a system, right? So when you say retail to me, what I think of it is an entirely different business model than insurance restoration. Nothing about it there's nothing. You don't run it the same. And if you run it the way you're supposed to run it, you can get a premium price point and you do it in what's called a one call close format. And the entire system is predicated around making sure that happens, from how you get your leads, where you get them, how you qualify them, how you dispatch them, how you recycle them, how you rehash them. All of that plays. And they're all very basic metrics that you can track and assume, okay, if we do this right, we should demo at around 30%. We should close right around the same 30%, for us closer to 40%. And we should hover right there at that premium price point, about $1,000 a square. And oh, you can't get that for shingle. We're not just talking shingles. We're talking roofing systems. We're talking quality. We're talking roofing has a price disparity, unlike most products. That's like a watch. You can get a watch for $5 from Walmart. I don't know about that, for $10, $20, right? You can get something like that, right? You can get a little Yu-Gi-Oh watch or something from Walmart, if that's still a thing. Or you can get a Rolex, or you can get a Breitling, right? So you can get a watch from like $20 to what are the things I used to wear in high school? What do y'all remember? Well, G-Shock, I don't know anything about that. I thought those were cool. What are those, like a couple $100? Couple $100. What was the one, man? I don't know if you guys had, I don't know how old you are. There was one I used to wear in high school that was like, no. Anyhow, Timex, G-Shock, Fossil. Anybody used to wear Fossil watches,
okay.
dude? Remember Fossil?
Yeah.
I thought I was doing something rocking a Fossil, dude. I had a Fossil titanium. It was probably like $150. I was like, dude, I got a Rolex. It's basically a Rolex. But in all seriousness, $100, $200, $150, $2,000, $20,000, $200,000, like an AP. So that is a huge, to just say like, I'm going to buy a watch. Okay. You know what I mean? You could spend $10. You could spend $200,000. What are we talking? Roofing is the same thing. And I won't go on a soapbox. I'm going to get off my soapbox because that's not what's important here. It just drives me nuts when people say you can't get that. It tells me all about what you know. But that's the retail system. And to me, is being able to justify that price point through a system. And within that system is a sales presentation and a sales system that allows you to sell at those price points at what a one call close. But insert product. Doesn't have to be roofing. It could be roofing, siding, windows, doors, gutters, solar, right? It's all sold within the same system. It's just the product demo changes. So your CRM better allow you to do that. I don't know any CRMs. Like, I'm going to be honest, man. I'm not going to bash anybody. I tried Job Nimbus. I hated it. It was way too customizable. I think most business owners are probably more like me than not, in that like we want, like, give me my thing and let me just like, I want to be able to just like have it done, dude. I don't want to have to customize and make all this stuff. I like the fact that it is customizable, but I'm not going to be the one that does that, dude. I just need to see all my stuff on the screen and go from there. So you guys have a really cool opportunity that you guys have something that you've been working on, and you think that it's going to revolutionize the industry, because it's not just the CRM aspect, but you guys are talking marketing, wrapping everything all into one. And I'm really intrigued by this. Which one of you wants to start, man? Like, tell me about this freaking CRM. I'm interested. You showed me a video on it. It's not just the CRM. You're talking like CRM on steroids that's wrapping in the marketing. Like, basically all of the back end things when your company that run your company are all in one place, eliminating the need for, we all have 50 different apps and 50 different services. You're kind of trying to tie them all into one. Blake, I'll start with you. Tell us, like, what's the name of this CRM, and like, let's get right into it, dude, because I think this is a really cool concept if you guys can pull it off.
Yeah, so the name of the CRM is called BuilderLink, and that's LYNC. So like as you know, I mean, I just started this company out. I've got new guys coming in, and the struggle of having to spend so much time training them on each one of these apps that we have or system that we have. You know, hey, you got your CRM over here, you got your company cam over here, you got Eagle View, you got Hover, and just everything in so much time to really fully train, and it takes them out of, hey, how can I get to selling faster, right? So when you have a CRM that's going to control your leads, your marketing, it has AI features in this for certain follow-ups because we all struggle as salespeople on some of the follow-up too. When that's all built in for you, then it's going to help your company be able to excel even more. Because there's nowhere like me as a salesperson, I'm gonna give it a couple goes and then I'm probably done with it. But if you can have an AI generated follow up, they can do that via text message, phone call, email, whatever that may be, to keep staying in front of these customers because we all know that customer had an issue, right? Well, the next person that stays in front of that customer is going to be the person who actually wins that job. So we're just really excited about being able to roll out a platform and a CRM that just controls everything so you can live in one application instead of having 6 or 7 different subscriptions just to try to run your roofing, siding, window company, whatever that may be. But I'll pass it over to James. He'll probably get a little bit more technical with some of that stuff, and kind of let him take it from there.
Yeah, man. Take it away, James.
Yeah, and Kenny, I think you know my background, right? Like I went into tech for about a decade, right? And so sold that, worked with product teams, right? And through that, I was able to see like what are these fast growing VC private equity backed software companies doing to acquire customers? Well, they're not doing what we're doing in the roofing space, or they're not knocking doors, right? They're leveraging partnerships. They're, a full omni-channel, multi-channel sales strategy. And as that relates to roofing, right? You've got SMS, you can do ringless voicemail, you can do ads, you can do a lot of what's popular right now, right? Is the call centers. Like how many texts and emails do y'all get about call centers, right? So it's like, what do we do to bring all of this together to decrease your customer acquisition costs, increase your conversion, total lead output, and then you're not burning through the data like very quickly, right? And so what we're doing is we're bringing a true CRM to the roofing space. All of these other tools out there are project management tools at best, pipeline tracking tools at best with, measurement and, production integrations right into the supply houses, right? Which are important, which is why like I didn't come in and purchase Acculynx or Job Nimbus or Proline or RoofLink or any of these other systems because I was building something different from a sales enablement perspective. We acquire customers 20 different ways, and so we needed to go out and build something that was able to keep up with our lead generation strategy and automate things, and obviously build processes into right. And so it's like a system is only as good as the processes behind it and as good as the sales team is utilizing the software, right? You could have all these little like widgets and things like within a system, but if people don't know how to use it and it's not user friendly for your typical roofing salesperson, it doesn't provide any value. And so that's what we're bringing to the table, and that's what I love about Blake, Sean, and I being involved with this, right? Sean's the founder of BuilderLink, and he just understands how this stuff works. So we're talking, storm data mapping tool, AI voice assistance, right? An actual QuickBooks integration, calendar integrations, right? Integrations into ABC and then other supply houses after the MVP, Eagle View integrations, right? But not just your standard out of box, but it's like, how are we on the ground level going to use this? And then also helping the roofing contractor if they're not at early stage, like just entering the business, but let's say they have, $25 million organization or $50 million organization. Like that's a lot of pain normally for someone to switch from an Acculynx or Job Nimbus to another CRM. We're going to turnkey it for them. We're going to assist them with that migration so they're not just left to, go and figure that out. That's a
And to
huge
that
feat.
point, that's why most people don't
Yeah,
do that.
exactly.
Like I've done it twice now. And even if you're going to, from a strategic standpoint, you're like, all right, well, I'm going to push this off to the end of the year because taking on something like that, it's an insane undertaking. Or for instance, they'll say, okay, well, it's X amount a month to come over. Okay, awesome, cool. We're going to come over. All right, so we just need our data to be, all right, we need our stuff from here to go to there. Oh yeah, well, we can do that, but we're going to outsource that, and it's going to cost you another 10 G's. Like,
Hmm.
is that, how does this CRM, if you will, how do you all handle that? Because
Yeah.
that
So the
is the big
early
reason why most people don't do it. Let's just be real. That's why most people don't do it. So how do you all handle that? I'm intrigued. You said that it's
Yeah.
wrapped in, but can you expand on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like coming from the software space, like as software business owners, right? Like we care about the recurring revenue more than like the lump sum upfront piece. We understand that that is a requirement to come over and, to provide that valuable system on a long term. And again, it comes back to utilization. I break people into two categories, right? You're either a builder or you're a maintainer, right? Someone that is rolling out a CRM system is a builder, right? They have to know how the people systems and processes all work together, right? So there's going to be an assessment process where we understand how they, essentially leverage software today, and we identify, any gaps in those processes, right? So that we can then improve them and then we can systematize them, right? And so all of that comes together, right? Like it is a requirement to get over into our system. So we have a team that we can deploy in to help them through that process, right? There's a turnkey option. It's a, kind of do it yourself option. I think the early adopters are going to benefit from a very low or free cost, right? Um, to getting that migration over to BuilderLink, right? So that they can start using the system as fast as possible. We can then get the feedback on the product and we can continue to develop that product. But
How
yeah,
so if someone's interested, sorry, but as a
yeah,
business owner, the first thing
for
I'm like,
sure.
oh really? Maybe free? How would somebody go about being an early adopter or getting in on that?
Yeah, so I just got a text from Sean, the founder of BuilderLink, right? And he is opening up the beta from 30 to 50. So there's roughly 25 more spots left, roughly,
Okay.
to be on the beta user list. And then if you don't make the beta or qualify for the beta, you will join that wait list automatically. So when you actually go to builderlink.com, that's LYNC, and we're actually taking on additional investors, select investors, and then so we can grow faster, right? And obviously, you can sign up for to be a beta user there on that website as well. You'll get a call from an AI agent, right, to qualify you. Then what it's going to do is it's actually going to tag you in the system. Pretty interesting, and it'll throw you onto the wait list, right? And so as part of that, as an early adopter, there are going to be discounts that you get grandfathered in. Longer term for providing that feedback to us. That's very valuable. We don't just want anyone, right? We want people that are going to tell us, hey, I really wish it could do this, right? And then we're going to ask everyone else, hey, do you wish it could do that? Right? We're going to think about it, put our roofer hat on, and we're going to ask our other home service partners, right?
I
Like,
was
what
gonna
what do
say
they
you
want?
keep saying roofer,
Hmm.
but it's not relegated to
Hmm.
just roofers, correct?
Exactly. Correct. Home service businesses, right? So
Yeah. So
solar,
like for
windows,
me, for
doors, siding.
example, if I'm doing roofing, siding, windows, doors, gutters, maybe I want to do solar. I've done that in the past. My market, the Maryland, the whole Eastern Coast market probably is not a hail market. So traditionally, when you don't see like, oh, I'm a roofer as much as you see remodeling companies, exterior remodeling companies, where they do roofing, siding, windows, doors, and gutters,
Hmm.
all of which would be applicable.
Exactly right. We're going to have CAD tools for blueprints and designs built into the software
Oh wow,
at
even
the
so,
at
like
the
maybe even
MVP launch.
interiors.
Yeah, I mean it's literally built for a full GC, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody's doing interior kitchen, because that's the
Hmm.
deal, man. Over here, some companies will do both. In my humble professional opinion, I like to stay in one lane, either exteriors or interior, because they're two
Hmm.
very different worlds. But I've done bathrooms,
Sure.
so any of those, it's all applicable.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we want to be available for, whatever type of builder you will. I know you're going to hear us kind of say roofing a lot because that's the
That's what
well,
we do.
say
Right. Right.
having a roofing
Hmm.
company. But I mean, that's what we're trying to do is just have this so it can be used for a siding company, a gutter company, maybe a landscape company. water mitigation company, whatever that may be. Like James was saying, there's a CAD tool in there too. So it's going to be built out to where we can service all of these different industries, right? And the thing about it is joining that beta. We've thought about so much stuff. Like Sean put in, I think James, what was it, like 4 months just in research alone on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've all, had master of the minds of, talking over some of this stuff. Hey, this would be good. That would be good. But the cool thing about the beta is bring your ideas to the table and let's get this thing as dialed in as possible. Because we all, as owners or even sales reps too, said, man, if we only had this, right? And that's where we want everybody to come together of like, bring that to the table. If we've only had this, all right, so let's look into that and let's see where we can't make that a simple process to be able to add that into BuilderLink. So that way, when this thing goes live, then it is that one-all CRM that just takes care of everything. And it's not even just about the sales side, as we kind of talked about. I mean, it just touches on every part of the business. I mean, it's just going to be a place where you can come live and run your company and not have to worry about everything.
Marketing, all of it gets tied
Absolutely,
in.
man.
I like what he said on the call. It's like, and look, man, I jokingly said invest for me. I raised my hand, but I'm genuinely intrigued. This is not the nature of the call or any by any means. I mean, the reality is this wasn't I mean, they are plugging it, and that's great. These are my friends. I think the product's great, but the reality is there's a real need for this in the market. Let's just be real. And we're not just talking about roofing. I mean, the thing now is the CRM, right? Like roofing and the industry itself has turned into like, look at Leap, right? Owner of, not Home Fix, they're the ones that purchased them, but New Look, created Leap. He didn't, but one of his folks that worked there, and I guess he's a partner in it. And that's their focus now, right? They sold New Look, focused on Leap. Who knows? They probably sell that. It's a great product. It's a contract tool. But I have a mentor of mine that owns an insurance restoration company. They're working on a CRM. Like I think that's the future here. And so like getting in on like one like this with a possible investment opportunity, number one, but number two, being an early adopter and getting to be in a beta and saving a ton of money, man. Like just from a business standpoint, I think that's so smart. Like that's really where I'm intrigued. I was already looking at switching CRMs. I think lots of us are because of the stuff that happened with Acculynx. Most of us, Acculynx has a huge hold on the market. The irony is there was another one that we were looking at. It might have been Roofer, and when we were looking, we were complaining about the fact that Verisk had purchased Acculynx, and as such, we were concerned with the data and just the general concerns everybody else had. Well, one of them also was like owned by or major investor was, and you could trace it right back up to Verisk. You know what I mean? Or Verisk, who is owned by BlackRock or whatever, right? Like, so if you do some digging, you'll start to see like, well, they might not be alone in that world in terms of who purchased who. This is really exciting to possibly get in on, man. And the fact that it wraps everything in, that's the most unique. I've had to change CRMs twice, but just based on what we diversifying twice, right? The second we decided to stop only doing insurance restoration, we needed another CRM. We switched back because we focused back. Now we're diversifying again with what I call retail, roofing, siding, windows, doors, gutters.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore we had to purchase another CRM, right? More of a contract tool in one click. But now we've got Acculynx, one click. Sales Rabbit for the field. Eagle View, which is integrated in, sure, but Hover isn't. And then so many more, man. All the marketing stuff, dude, forget about it, right? Like that all lapped in there. So like having everything in one space is incredibly intriguing. I haven't seen it done. You guys are working on, you're about there at your MVP, which if my business hat's on right, I believe is minimum viable product. Am I forgetting the P? The P is that right? Minimum viable product, I think is what that acronym stands for. I'm just throwing that.
It also means most valuable player, but
I know it means, but I don't think that's what they're talking about right now.
No.
That's what we hope to be able to bring in, be able to be the most
be an MVP too, baby. Okay. I was just trying to look cool because I knew what that was. So, I'm a business guy. I might know a thing or two.
No,
in all seriousness,
right.
man, this is a great product. No, I know it is. I'm just teasing. I think this is a great product. I think this is a great service. I think that to get in on it on an early ground floor, again, just to reiterate that, like, how does somebody who's listening to this check it out, see if like, hey, maybe I want to invest, or I'd really like to look into being an early adopter on this and checking it out. Because I mean, it's getting to the end of the year. It's the time to do it, dude. If you're going to do a data switch like that, it makes sense to do it at the end of the year. That's what we're looking at. I'm already looking at doing this. Therefore, I am interested genuinely, and why I figured, hey, this is a great concept to bring to the show. Why not? Right? Like everybody's talking about it. We need to talk about it on here. So one
Yeah,
more time, how do we get on? How do we get on? I mean, we just
yeah,
builderlink.com.
yeah, builderlink.com. It's builder and then lync.com. There's a button for to, inquire about being an investor, and there's a button to get on the beta or the wait list. The beta MVP product is launching Q4 of this year, 2025. So very likely mid to late December. Again, when it's slow, when the weather's cold, right? Like
Perfect.
the perfect time
Perfect.
to
Perfect.
to look into something like this. And then, we're off to the races.
So the launch is looking to be end of 2025.
Correct.
Cool. That's awesome. That's perfect time, man. That's when everybody's doing that. So that's a great time to do that. So guys,
And let me touch on that too. I mean, we all know that that's the great time to do that and make that switch, but we're going to be that company that it doesn't matter if it's, in the middle of a storm and you decide, hey, I want to do this. We're going to get you fully set up and fully ready to go, do some training so we can make sure you're ready to launch. Like it's not going to be like, hey, we got to figure this all out on our own. There's going to be training aspects of this, and we've got certain training things with some AI stuff that's going to be really cool as well too, that we're excited about, and we'll roll out here as well too. But we just want to be that company where it's not such a headache, like making somebody switches. It takes up so much of the owner's time, and we want to eliminate that. So it's just such a seamless process because we've all been through that data switch, switching CRMs and how big of a nightmare that is. So that's like one of our top things that we're focused on, and making it such a seamless process where it's like, all right, cool, that's all moved over. Let's get some training going. All right, cool. Now we're live. We're ready to go. You hold on to your CRM for a little bit, right? And then make that switch completely over to BuilderLink. But that's one of our pain points that we know everybody has, and we're heavily focusing on.
yeah, I think that's really smart, man, because to that point, dude, like a big thing for us, the first thing I would say is like, all right, what's it going to cost us to come? You know what I mean? Like, what's it really going to cost us to come over? Because it's X amount a month, but like the data migration is such a big part of it, man. It's such a big part of it. So it's what we've been talking about with we've been interviewing CRMs for the last like month, and it's just like the first thing we throw out there. Like, what is it really going to cost us? So that's huge. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any parting words of wisdom for the audience? We like to do that before we jump off. I know this kind of turned into a CRM fest, but dude, it's so important. It's so important, and it's getting towards the end of the year. So if you're not looking at doing it, I mean, now is the time to diversify. Anyhow, in my humble professional opinion, when it comes to business, especially in markets like this, especially in markets like ours, where the government's shut down, we have the highest concentration of government employees in the freaking nation. Like, you better be able to diversify. You better have some different things up your sleeves, and now is the time to start entertaining those things. And so, therefore, you better have a CRM that can support it. I love it, dude. But starting with you, Blake, you got anything in parting words of wisdom for the audience?
Yeah, I'm going to say this because all three of us are in this room here together or on this podcast together, right? But we're from all different states. And the reason that we're all on this podcast together is that we have reached out to each other in different areas where we tried to figure out, hey, how can I learn from somebody in a different area? And I've been able to have the opportunity to learn from both of y'all guys. Hopefully, y'all learned a little bit from me as well, too.
Hmm.
But I just really strongly encourage people to go out there and find some people doing some different things. I mean, James, man, he's such an outside the box thinker. I love it. So just go out there and try to find people in your industry that you can really relate to, and they're probably going to open up a lot more than your competitor down the road will. I try to be open with my guys that are here in town, but I'm not going to give them every part of my secret. Right?
Right, man.
I don't expect them to either, right? But
Mhm.
being able to meet people across the country and then really starting to try to pick their brain, whether that's once a month, every other month, or whatever that may be, it's so vital to be able to move forward, and people are more willing to share a lot more of their knowledge with people know, hey, well, this guy's in Texas or this guy's in Maryland, wherever it is. So I just recommend that people get out there and be able to do that, because I've been able to learn a ton from both of y'all as well too.
Yeah, I agree. James, what about you, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like, when launching a business, right, or getting into a new space, like you don't have to have it all figured out, right? You have to be a student of the game. You have to invest in yourself because it's the best ROI you're ever going to have, right? But then you also have to be able to identify where you're strong and where you're weak, right? Blake has way more roofing experience than I do, right? So I leverage Blake for some of the things where I have limitations, right? I leverage Sean, right, founder of BuilderLink, on anything tech, right? He's my like tech guru guy, right? Like anything I need done, he knows how to automate that stuff and do it quickly with one, very quick explanation, and he just runs with it, right? So it's just understanding where you're strong, when you're weak, and getting out of your own way, man. Like just not having an ego, being a student of the game. Like it is the biggest blessing like I've had in my life, is like to be able to leverage the expertise of those around me. But I wouldn't have met you or Blake or Sean if I wasn't just like an open book, right? And if
Right.
I wasn't out there kind of, there to receive for sure. So yeah, that's kind of some of the things I mentioned.
I echo that sincerely because I dialed that back last year, and look, I spent 500,000 the year before, the year and a half before, so like the next year or last year, I was fully entrenched in the company. We were taking a step back to take two steps forward. Thank God, that's panned out thus far. We're tracking to hit our goals this year, but that was a scary time, man, especially having investing all of that money, and then for the next year to take a step back from a strategy standpoint and do less than we had ever done fiscally in an effort to double the following year. That was scary. But I've recently reemphasized to myself the need to continue. You got to be open to growing all the time, man. It's not that I'm not, but I wasn't seeking it. You know what I mean? Like I stopped seeking that and investing in myself. Like sometimes it literally takes paying for it, man. I don't know what else to say. Like I get my attention when I'm paying for something. Like you know what I mean? Like, especially we don't the things that we pay for are often not very cheap, especially when it comes to our learning. So I think there's something that to be said for that. On that note, and just wrapping up, if you're in the roofing industry, especially the insurance restoration guys, this is just something I just came up with talking with my buddy Tony Flatham, who's also been on the show. He's got an awesome company and Built Strong out in Minnesota. Huge company, great success. He has his own podcast. But suggesting that maybe we do like a group type atmosphere. And to give Blake credit, he was the first person that planted that seed in my head. But I'm going to run a group. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to run my own beta and probably invite guys like these two knuckleheads and friends of mine and peers that I know first, so I can get some genuine, honest feedback and track the numbers. But if you want to learn how to sell at a retail model for about 1,000 a square or so, I mean, I can guarantee you this much: you'll be selling at the highest average you have in that area. Period. If you want to learn how to implement that into your business and diversify and not only count on the insurance restoration, which I think is really important, I'm going to run a group over the winter here in the next few weeks. I'll put some more information about that. Just reach out to me directly. We're going to do a group thing there just to make it a little bit more palatable, friendly in terms of the fiscal responsibility, because I usually do that with a business and charge a premium because it's a lot of work. We're going to run a group aspect and see how that works out. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. We'll see how it works out. And if it works out great, we'll keep doing it. But if you want to be a part of the first one, reach out to me directly, DM me. Maybe we'll put a link in this, but we'll put more information about that in the future. I'm sure I'll rope these two knuckleheads into it, so you guys will probably see them. But seriously, click on the BuilderLink group. I think it's going to be a big deal. Anything else, guys?
No, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're onto right there, man, I think a lot of people can learn from you. That retail game is definitely going to be huge. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
dude, I
give
think
that
so
a
too,
go.
man. I really genuinely like. it's what I did before I did any of this, and that like that was my first business, and it was what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. But I jumped out there with a partnership didn't work out, so I jumped out there one more time for myself. But I'm very blessed, and I love my business, and it's the most important thing in the world to me. It just happens to be what I'm good at, and it happens to be that I have a consulting company that focuses on that, and there happens to be a need. So it's like I'd be silly not to at least explore that, right? So, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for giving our audience the time and the opportunity to invest, dude. This is a big deal. If you want to invest, it might be something to consider. BuilderLink, check it out. Let me know what you think. Put the information or anything that you guys have in the comments that you might want to see relative to BuilderLink or anything about it. Let us know what you think about it, man. Put it in the comments. Subscribe, leave a review. It's how people know the show exists. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.